Welcome back to 52 Lockup. I am your Apple Teeny Cadma bitten Apple TV. 52 Lockup is a series I started to talk about one of my biggest passions, true crime. A new episode on every Cadmaniac Monday for 52 Mondays for 52 crimes. And I know you're going to be like, that's the second Monday you missed. I swear to God, I have a good excuse. I was actually severely sick. Like, really sick. No voice, no nothing. We can all take a guess during the time period what it was. So, now, anyway, back to why I missed it. Okay, for you judge me. Hope you guys enjoy. Be sure to like, leaving some feedback, subscribe. You know the usuals. Viewer discretion will always be advised. Hey, we're in the month of July. Let's keep things super American theme in today's episode. So Robert E. Crimo III was born on September 20th, 2000 to Chicago's popular deli owner, Robert Crimo Jr., right? And his alternative healer mom, Denise Pacina. Now, Robert, who also went by the name Bobby, has an older half-sister, Lynette, and a younger brother named Sam. By the time Bobby was 2 years old, his mother would actually be arrested for child endangerment after allegedly leaving him in a locked car at Toys R Us parking lot for about 27 minutes on a 79-degree day with the windows rolled up, according to a court document. I know, starting strong, right? You're like, whoa. But yeah, growing up, Bobby the third was relatively quiet. He was just a quiet kid. He kept to himself. His parents, signed him up for different school programs, mostly because they were too busy. And that's a common thing for parents. That's a very, very common thing. At 6 years old, he was signed up for the Cub Scouts, where he learned to build fires and camp in the woods, fun shit, things you want to do when you're a kid. And he would attend Lincoln Elementary School and later would be joined by his baby brother Sam. And together the brothers were placed into the school program like LEAP from the 2008 to 2014. Apparently the school noticed there were some issues with the brothers, in particularly being picked up from the after school program. Like, the program ended at 4:30 p.m., but frequently, there was no one available to pick them up at an appropriate time. It was described by the school, and one of the school directors, Jeremy Kamen, commented that they took note of how late the parents always were to picking up the kids. They described the father as always too busy with running the deli and the mother as flighty. It became so problematic that the school had a meeting with the parents about this. Apparently there was commentary that Bobby the third would feel neglected as a child. This can be a common thing, where parents are trying to take care of the kids and they spend more time trying to take care of the money situation or other aspects of their life and put their kids into after school programs, to give them some kind of flexibility for their schedule. So who really knows what was really kind of the guiding force? I mean, I wasn't there, you wasn't there, unless you happen to be, you came across my episode. In that case, feel free to comment. However, during these years, the parents were known for fighting, right? And when I say fighting, they were fighting. Like, in one 2010 incident, the father made alleged that mom Denise had hit him with a screwdriver on his left forearm before recanting that statement when he got to the police station. And then another, he claimed that she hit him on the head with a shoe, I'm assuming like a chancla. Denise commented that he threatens to call the police on her for every little argument that they get in. And she even wrote in one of her handwritten witness statements that he says he wants the police to think I'm crazy. It's giving me very toxic relationship, War the Roses kind of vibe. 2014, Bobby III would graduate, obviously, would start to attend Highland Park High School. And he'd make two friends, particularly two brothers, right? Nicholas and Andres Lopez. Nicholas stated that, they would just do high school stuff, smoke, and it was like a group of 5 kids, right? They were all friends. The brothers stated that there was really nothing during their time of their friendship that gave them reason to think that, Bobby the third would would ever become a problem. In 2017, the Lopez brothers unfortunately would be hit with the heroin overdose of their older brother, Anthony Laporte, which Andres Lopez recalls that Bobby III took it very hard and would state that Anthony Laporte was one of his only true friends. They also recall that around this time there was someone that he was interested in, and the article I read referred to her as a woman, but it turned out they were just both 17-year-old kids. The Lopez brothers remember a side of the story that Bobby III was telling, which was he was dating someone and they broke up. And, after the breakup is when to them they noticed he began to act very weird and strange and became extremely reclusive, where he just withdrew himself from his friends. Bobby III would drop out of high school in 2016 and end up, he was working at Panera Bread. However, remember I said that there was a breakup? So there was this girl that he liked who was in his, his neighborhood. She was a near neighbor, and this was not a relationship. This was not dating. He had approached her, and then she politely rejected him, and then he tried telling her that he wanted to open up a sandwich shop with his father, and then told her, no, I want to stay at Panera Bread if you're going to be working here, because I want to stay with you. She said that she didn't really know how to respond to him, so she's like, don't do that, because she only wanted to be friends. Apparently she even apologized if her nice demeanor gave him the wrong impression. After that, she actually gradually stopped talking to him. She didn't comment why, in the sense if he made her feel bad or she just felt awkward, society. But this is the breakup that the Lopez brothers would notice when Bobby III began to change in his behavior. During all of this, Robert Crimo III would be working on his online rap career. He had been uploading videos, apparently music, since he was 11 years old. On Spotify, he released his first rap album in 2017. Between working on his music and playing his game, Hitman, which is his favorite, and even cosplaying as the character. The people around him noticed he had, random weird obsessions like Hitman or with the number 47. I mean, he loved the number so much that he had it painted on his car and then tattooed on his face. We don't know what 47 means, but at least he got a meaningful tattoo, right? 2018, Grandpa Robert Crimo would unfortunately pass away. He would leave the house of his to his son, Robert Crimo Jr. The house would be in the family, has been in the family for years until recently. At some unknown point, Bobby's parents would separate, right, with all the fighting, and he would end up living with his mother, Denise. It is unknown to why they, officially separated or when the timing was, but either way, while this is all going on, Bobby would still release his hip-hop song, On My Mind, on October 8th, 2018. His videos are what in hindsight seems to be hints now, right? He would upload videos to his music, like him appearing in a classroom wearing a black bicycle helmet, where he says, like a sleepwalker, I know what I have to do. And everything has led up to this. Nothing can stop me, even myself. Apparently, his Spotify page totaled an average of 16,466 monthly listeners. However, happiness and success would be still fleeting from him. While Robert Crimo III was working on his YouTube music career, his father was still continuing to rack up a mountain of debt. He was just making... Whew. In late 2018, right, Bobby Jr. owed a lender $764,000. He would sue him, the lender would sue him, and then the judge would take the lender's side. We don't know if the debt has been paid. That's a lot of money, $764,000. It's a lot. At some point, Denise and Bobby Jr., like I said, they would, they had separated, but he was staying at her house and then his father's house, and he was doing a back and forth thing. So just to kind of stay on the timeline, towards the end of 2018, Daddy Bobby Jr., shop, not doing so well. And by the time 2019 comes around, in between that time, he decides he wants to run as mayor against Nancy Rotering. He wanted to improve local ordinances to help downtown businesses thrive. probably from the piling debt he was racking up in his business and his personal life. Although he had a goal publicly where he stated what he wanted to do, but it was still unclear if he was like taking it seriously, right? State records show that, Bobby Jr. didn't receive any campaign donations other than the $560 loan he gave himself, which he spent on yard signs. In the end, Nancy won by a landslide by like 72% of the vote in April 2019 election. Right after losing to Nancy, Bobby Crimo III attempts to commit suicide by machete, according to the police reports. But they also noted in their report that mental health professionals handled that particular episode. All right. Bobby III continues to make his music and creates his videos. That included cartoon images of a gunman pointing a large rifle and other people spurting out blood. Okay. There's another video of a gunman laying in a pool of blood near police cars. He would also make other videos with a newspaper displayed on the wall behind him with the headline about the killing of Lee Harvey Oswald. If you do not know who that is, look up the assassination of President Kennedy in 1963. Bobby was keeping himself busy online as the Awake the Rapper, right? With music references, was showing videos that reference to mass shootings. Okay. Again, while all this crap is going on in his personal life, right? Bobby Jr., Daddy Dearest, his shop becomes more and more vacant as he's drowning in more debt by the time September 2019 comes around, right? So his shop is looking empty. It is not looking good. With everything that was going on, it seemed that the family also had minimal communication with him as well as with each other, right? His uncle, Paul Crimo, describes his nephew as quiet, but he didn't really have a relationship with him. Bobby III was also not a shy guy, right? In a sense about being a MAGA supporter. And he would post himself at Trump rallies all over his social media accounts. He spent much of his time also on Twitter and 4chan. God damn it again, that website again. I think it is so interesting that what happens with 4chan, because I mean, you get all this stuff happening from 4chan, but if I duet someone's video talking about someone who quoted, and I quote, "I told my daughter if rape is inevitable, then sit back and enjoy," with no reactions, I get a community guideline violation, but 4chan is like radicalizing people. But my video gets taken down. Weird. Anyway, speaking of 2019, this is also the year that Illinois would enact the Firearms Restraining Order Act, which allows family members to apply for a court order so that authorities can confiscate weapons from those deemed to be dangerous. This is going to be important because in September 2019, Bobby III threatens that he's going to kill everyone in the family. Bobby, what the fuck happened? He would have the cops called on him, and Bobby III would admit to the cops that he was depressed. He had a history of drug use. I mean, he's only 19 years old at this point, according to the report, right? So Bobby Jr. would later state he didn't know about this particular incident and threat, but it turns out Daddy Dearest was the one who had actually turned over the collection of 16 knives, a dagger, and a samurai type of blade to the police. And when officers sent the Illinois State Police, a clear and present danger report relating to the threats that Bobby had made, the state police would decline to approve that determination, which could have blocked Bobby from buying the guns to begin with. But apparently there wasn't sufficient enough evidence to do so. Someone fucked up. In December 2019, HSBC Bank would end up filing a foreclosure on the Highland Park house where Bobby III had actually grew up. Now, Daddy Crimo Jr., he owed about $460,000. The case was actually delayed, amid the coronavirus pandemic, and then the lender restarted their efforts to take the possession of the home just recently, like a few years. the family would be put out if they did not catch up on payments. I mean, today about $200,000, I believe, is still owed on the family home, and it's valued at $400,000. So now Bobby, 20 years old, it's 2020 while this is all happening, and around this time, I believe Bobby III moves into an apartment behind his grandfather's home that was left to his dad when he died. But his dad is having a problem paying the bills. Because, I mean, this man already racked up $1 million in debt. Minimum. So now we're in December 2020, where he decides he wants to go shopping for guns. But he's like, oh man, I'm underage. Remember the Firearms Restraining Order Act, enacted in 2019? That would have allowed him to have firearms and any other weapons confiscated? Well, nope, that didn't happen this time. Turns out Daddy Dearest sponsors his kid and signs off on the papers for his son to get gun 3 months later, after he threatened to kill everyone with the knives incident. Again, he would later state, like, I had no idea Bobby was like, or a clear and present danger, which obviously that was not true. So here's the thing. This gives me insight to both the parents, right? That the fact that they were just not really involved in their son's life. It was like, okay, you want this? All right, take it. Just go. Get out. I'm a face. I mean, I can see that his father worked his ass off, right? I can see that. I can see he provided a roof over their heads. I can see all that. But where were the other aspects of parenting that matter? Because, right, so each child is different, right? Each child has different needs. Each person has different needs, right? Whether you're looking at yourself, your kids, your grandparents, a stranger, your friend, it doesn't matter. And I know someone might want to say, oh, the generational thing, because certain generations are softer and we're just built different. No. Everyone has different needs. I mean, look at the milk carton poster ever. So everyone's got different needs. So we got the parents who are focused on fighting with each other. War of the Roses. Bobby Jr. over here is feeling left out. There's a half sister, a younger brother that's kind of getting forgotten about. And Bobby Jr., in the midst of all this, sees his son's threats as a childish outburst and nothing else. I don't know. I think I'd be threatened if an 8-year-old was like playing with a knife. It was like, I want to kill you all. You know what I mean? Little Chucky vibes. I'm just saying. Bobby III would end up purchasing over time 5 firearms, including an AR-15 style rifle in total by 2021. So weighing about, I don't know, $120, 5'11", soaking wet. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Bobby's got a goal in mind, right? He's getting enough guns and he's getting the ammo that he wants. Bobby III would begin planning what kind of shooting he wanted to do. Okay? There's so much happening, and then yet so much is being missed at the same time. Money troubles, again, continue to pile up, and in April 2022, mortgage servicing company filed to foreclose on the second property Bobby Jr. owns in the neighboring town of Highwood. Bobby Jr. Owed about more than $197,000, and he stopped making those payments in July 2020. The bills are racking up. And I mean, that is the American dream, right? Racking up all that debt. Yeah, you don't get more American than that. And just as a side information, Highland Park, Illinois is about 25 miles north of Chicago. And they do their annual 4th of July parade, right? So here's where it gets nasty. 10 minutes into the parade, Bobby III would open fire onto an unsuspecting crowd, causing a stampede of people, killing at least 7, injuring about 39, including 5 children. He would flee the scene dressed as a woman to avoid detection, and he returned home and asked his mom for the car, and he just drove away. He would later be found a few hours later, thankfully, because apparently he was like, that was fun. I should do another one. 7 dead, 39 injured. The Lake County coroner identified the victims that were murdered as 64-year-old Catherine Goldstein, 63-year-old Jacqueline Sundheim, 88-year-old Stephen Strauss, 78-year-old Nicolas Toledo Zargoza, 69-year-old Eduardo Uvaldo, and couple. This is probably the one that probably hits everyone the most. I saw more articles on this. A couple, 35-year-old Irina McCarthy and her 37-year-old husband, Kevin McCarthy. Now, I say that would hit pretty hard because it would later be discovered that the father of that couple used his body to shield his 2-year-old son, who was lumped under his father's dead body covered in his father's blood. When the 2-year-old actually emerged from under his father's body, he began walking through the parade until a stranger picked him up. Parade goer Greg Ring states that when we pulled in, it looked like the cops were getting ready for war. I'll never forget. I pulled up and I said, "This is not our kid. It's not his blood." He's like, "Okay, what should we do?" And the cop said, "We can't be babysitters now. Can you take care of him?" We said, "Of course." Aiden's photos would be posted online to identify the child, and a neighbor, Adrian Rosenblatt, saw him and identified him. And he's been returned to his grandparents to now be properly taken care of. Unfortunately, with the grandparents, the child keeps saying, "Mommy and Daddy will come here soon." What the fuck, Bobby? Police continue to urge witnesses, obviously, to submit any photos or videos of the scene that may be use to them in their investigation. You can call 1-800-CALL-FBI. I'll repeat that again, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Bobby III was questioned by the Highland Park Police Department. He was read his Miranda warnings, attorney, etc. He went into details about what he had done. The judge actually scheduled the next hearing in Bobby III's case for July 28th for his 7 counts of murder in the first degree. Bobby Jr. stated he wants a long sentence for his son, Bobby III. A friend of Bobby Jr. would state that his kid shot up his hometown, and he's going to have to come to terms with that action. And honestly, the role he played in his son's evolution as a person, one friend said. It was his son's name on the news, and that's his name too. Still fighting regulations for guns? I mean, add more guns. I could see how that... No, struggling. Hey, did you guys know that the JR-15 was released for their for kids to have their kid version of the AR-15 that shoots about like 10 rounds, I believe? It has like little kid skull, cross and bones, and cartoon like and it's like just like mommy and daddy. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and all will be lost. The airplane and the radio and the internet have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for the universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world. Millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die. And the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Liberty, the American dream, right? Because you have to be asleep to believe it.